or whether it is a hybrid what? A hybrid connection. Hybrid is a new term that I've picked from cars. These days there are those cars that use fuel, there are those that use electricity, and then there are those that use hybrid. Maybe a piece of advice I'll give you is that the mechanics we have in this country don't know how to fix hybrid engines and the electric engines. You can use that information in whichever way you feel important. Okay, so that's about the levels of demand. Oh, I was still explaining using electricity. That using electricity, if you have the low, the medium, and the high, the low will have effective resistance. The medium will probably find current, okay? Then the high will be able to determine PD across a certain resistor or across a certain combination of parallel resistors. The high will be able to determine current flowing in a certain resistor. That is the high. So for all the information that you have in the curriculum book, you have to shred it into a content framework and be able to identify that what is the learner that has a low level of demand, the weak ones, the struggling ones, what are they going to be able to get? What about these ones who are medium? And then what about the ones that are high? It is very, very important that we are able to identify all that. Gentlemen and ladies, at this point I ask, is there a question such that we know we are leaving content framework covered? Do we have any questions? Hello? Any questions? Maybe I'll ask Rebecca Nabawesi, madam. Do you have any questions? Mr. Naugoda?
No, sir, for now.
Okay, Mr. Naugoda, anything?
Yeah, no, there is no concern. However, it is so far so good. We can proceed.
Okay, let's go in front. So we are going to look at the test framework next. The test framework. And in the test framework, there are things that I want us to first talk about, and this time it's going to be very, very interactive. Now, the first one is you're going to hear the term construct. I want us to assume for now, before we go to the real stuff, that a construct is, our construct is a wedding budget. Our construct is a wedding budget. So, if we were to make a wedding budget, what are the sections that we put in a wedding budget? I'm going to get the answers from you this time. Hello? I'll not be mentioning names, just unmute yourself and talk.
Can have church.
Church. Another.
And have the dressing of the groom and then the dressing of the bride.
Clothes, eh?
Yes.
Attire, whatever. Another.
Maybe other people can proceed from there. Thank you.
Guys, can another? Hello, I don't hear you well. Another one.
Food and drinks.
Food. We also have drinks. Is that all?
We can even budget for transport.
Let's not say we can even budget for transport. We should budget for transport. Another one.
Entertainment and video coverage.
Video coverage, photography and videography. Eh? Photography and videography. Another.
Decoration.
Decoration. Another.
Possibly we can't forget miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous. You guys have not spoken about venue yet. You are talking about miscellaneous. But let's say we have venue. We have venue. I think you have some messages you have to take on WhatsApp. We have venue and so on and so forth. Now, in the new curriculum, there are topics that have been bundled together because those topics speak the same language. I'll use it like that. For example, Rebecca was telling us the first thing you look at is church. Now, in church, sometimes they decorate the church. There is money for special pastoral. There is money for the choir. You can even put a band and all those what things. But you find that all those things are speaking the same language, and the language is what? Is church. That is why when we are indicating, we indicate it as what? We indicate it as church. We don't put all those items. We indicate it as church, and we call it a block thing. Now, our sum total is called the construct. And in the physics case, the construct would be the entire syllabus, the entire curriculum book. That is our construct. Okay? That would be our construct. Now, the elements of the construct are what we call sections. These sections you have been giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These sections you have been giving me when we are assessing how the wording was. We look at those 8 sections and we ask ourselves, in these 8 sections, has the wording been okay? Okay, we start with church. We say, the church was okay. We go to clothes. We say, this guy is here. I don't know who their tailor was. Like if we are looking at the president and the way he dresses, we say we don't know who the tailor was. We say, okay, that one, we failed. We look at food. Was the food good? You say, yeah. Drinks, you say the drinks were very Catholic. Okay? There was lots to drink. In fact, by the time the parents got to speak, none of us could pay attention. We look at transport. Did we pick the parents from their places and all those things? We say yes. Photography and videography. We say, that one, like that. So also, those are called elements of construct. Those elements of construct are what we call the sections. Previously, for example, the elements of constructs in paper 1, A level, was mechanics. Mechanics, those mechanics. We had mechanics, we had heat, and then we had modern physics. Okay, those are the elements of construct, and the learner will be examined in all. Now, here in O level, I want you to listen well and write. The first one is, I'll say, stars, galaxies, and digital electronics. Stars, galaxies, and digital electronics. That's the first element of construct. I hope you can hear me perfectly. The second element of construct is light and waves. It is light and waves. Light and waves. Light and waves. The third element of construct is atomic and nuclear physics, which we generally know as modern physics. Guys, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you are clear.
Yes, yeah.
Getting you.
Okay. So the third one is atomic and nuclear physics. The fourth one is mechanics and heat. Mechanics and heat. The fifth one is electricity and magnetism. The fifth one is electricity and magnetism. Then the very last one is what we call scientific investigation. Is scientific investigation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that scientific investigation is what you know as the practical. Is what you know as the what? As the practical. And in the practical, I'll go to also the sections that are there. Let me first finish paper 1. In paper 1, we have two sections, A and B. In paper 1, we have two sections, A and B. In section A, we have stars, galaxies, and digital electronics. We have light and waves. We have atomic and nuclear physics. Now, atomic and nuclear physics. In section A, one question is going to set from all those elements. We'll have one question each. So those are 3 numbers. The numbers are compulsory. They are not elective. They are compulsory because it's one on each. In section B, we have mechanics and heat. We have electricity and magnetism. We are going to have 2 questions from each of them. 2 questions from each of them. And the learners will do only 1. Why are we giving 2 questions from each of them? This is because this thing is very big. Heat and mechanics is big. Okay? That is why we have 2 questions from each of them. This is why we have 2 questions from each of them. Up to that point, are we okay? Hello?
I beg your pardon for section B, please.
For section A, the topics, the elements.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, did you write the elements first? Did you write them? Hello, did you write the elements?
I wrote the elements.
Now, number 1, number 2, and number 3 is section A.
Okay.
Number 1, number 2, and 3 is section A. Number 4 and 5 is section B. Does that make it easier?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a concern at that point.
Yes.
In section B, you say we have mechanics, heat, 2 numbers, then electricity and magnetism, 2 numbers.
Yes.
Does it mean that heat will bring 1 number and mechanics to make the 2, or the 2 from this part will overlap the 2 topics, will involve knowledge from mechanics and heat in one of the questions?
Thank you. Now, each number will have both mechanics and heat. So when you are setting a question, the question should have both mechanics and heat. When you are setting your question of, sorry, there was a siren in the background, so I just kept quiet technically. I'm saying, when you are setting your question of mechanics and heat, you have to include the way of putting in some bit of heat and some bit of mechanics. I was setting a question on machines, to be precise, an inclined plane. And I told my learners, you see some of these scenarios, by the way, I come up with them when I am teaching in class. I told my learners that certain farm workers needed to load a cow of 250 grams onto a truck of height 2 meters. Okay. Of course, they couldn't carry the cow and they couldn't use a pulley because where are you going to tie the rope anyway? Okay. Now, these guys were given a metallic ramp. And on trying to load the cow stepped on the ramp and then got off. On touching the ramp was too hot because they were loading the cow when the temperatures in the place were close to, let's say, 42, 43. So the ramp was very hot. Okay. So in that way, I have brought in heat and I've also brought in what? Mechanics. So they are going to answer that part of mechanics and they'll answer the part of heat. I don't know who was asking, was it Mr. Tim?
No, it was me.
Okay, Barnabas, it was you. Eh? So has my example kind of cleared the air?
Yeah, it cleared the air and I'm on point now.
Okay, good. Guys, I hope we are moving together. I hope we are moving together. So, Barnabas, is your hand still up or I should put it down? People will think I'm not attending to you. Okay, so let's move on. Now, we're still looking at the test framework. Now, this scientific investigation, which is our practical paper, is paper 2 or paper 3. I've seen people arguing. There is no paper 3, but there is paper 3, and the reason there is paper 3 is because of the numbers. It's because of what? The numbers. It's important to understand that some schools have over 400 students and they cannot do the practical at once unless they are going to use the football field as their laboratory, which will also create other issues. Okay. So, the scientific investigation, which is our practical, is going to be comprised of 2 questions. But before I go to the questions, it also has sections. We have mechanics, we have optics, which is lights, and we have electricity. And we have electricity. And those 3, the examiner will choose 2. So there will be 2 numbers. And the student is going to be expected to do 1 number. Student will be expected to do 1 number. Okay? The students will be given a scenario. And from that scenario, the students will also be given an illustration. There was an issue where people were saying, okay, let's give a hint. The hints caused more problems. So the students will be given an illustration and they'll be given the scenario. From that, they'll generate whatever we are going to talk about. Allow me to move back to my test framework. At least that part I have covered. Up to this point, are we okay? Yes,
No,
Sadiq. Assalamu alaikum. Sadiq? Yes, Sadiq, you talk. I can see your hand is raised. Oh, unmuting, man. Yes, Mr. Sadiq?
May I have a concern here on practical?
Yes.
You say out of these sections, the examiner will set only 2. Will the examiner be at liberty to set any of these paired sections, like the examiner can set mechanics and electricity, or maybe towards smoke they will notify us that this year we shall concentrate here and there?
Sadiq, the examiner will be at liberty to set from those three. So prepare our learners in the three. Yes, let's have Barnabas. Barnabas, you have your hand up. Barnabas. Okay, let's have Zaidi. Yes, Mr. Zaidi, I can. Mr. Zaidi, please talk. Zaidi. Mr. Zaidi, please unmute yourself. Mr. Zaidi, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, Zaidi.
You are getting it?
Yes, I can hear you.
I've a bit joined late, but still my concern is also on a practical issue here. About the three numbers, which you said that we teach our learners.
Two questions, two numbers, but there are three sections that we can set from.
So, I mean, is there a possibility, like if an examiner has set mechanics and the optics in the paper 2, and the same also appear in paper 3, or if they now ignore one part of electrics in paper 2, then the electrics can be set in paper 3?
Okay, this is not something we discussed, but an exam is an exam, and UNEB reserves their right to what will be set when.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Guys, do you have any other concern here? Guys, any other concern?
Yeah, my very last concern here on practical is about the hint you've talked about. Are you trying to tell us that we should stop giving that hint? We only give the scenario, then the setup.
You see, originally we started with a hint, and we noticed that the hint was not helping the learners. After pretesting, they noticed the hint was not helping the learners. So to reduce the rate of failure, that is why they introduced the illustration. But I think the illustration is also a hint. For me, in my case, the illustration is a hint. Because after you've given me the illustration, I know how to draw the procedure from it. Barnabas is saying he can't see the option of mute and unmute. Barnabas, let me look for you. I can't see you on the chat now. Just a moment. I can't see. Sadiq, in the meantime, I think you're saying something. Please say it.
I think it is the problem of the phone.
It's a problem of the phone, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Your voice is also so down. Okay, guys, let's. Guys, in case you have a question and you're having issues with the technology, please use the Q&A. It also works the same way. Mr. Richard Munjuni, I see you have a question. You've raised your hand. Yes, Richie? Oh. Yes, Richard. Richard? Richard, I think I've allowed you to talk. Please unmute yourself. Richard, unmute yourself. Richard, can you unmute yourself? Okay, Richard, can you put your question in the Q&A? I'll attend to it from there. Richard, let's have that question come in the Q&A.
Okay.
Okay. So, gentlemen and ladies. Yes, Richard.
Yes, sir.
We can hear you live and clear, sir.
Yes, I was asking that will you enable only 32 questions in each paper practical?
Yes, only 2 questions.
Meaning one of the parts, either light or electricity, will be skipped in a given year.
Meaning one of the 3 parts will be left out.
Yeah. All right.
One of the 3 parts, not one of light and electricity, no.
Yeah. Meaning mechanics can also be skipped.
Yes, sir.
So our task is to teach learners all the 3 parts.
Exactly.
Thank you.
That is why you are paid.
All right.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please allow me to move on? Or we have anything that is burning? I think we have a question in the Q&A here. Looks like we have a question in the Q&A. I'm sorry I joined late. How can I access the curriculum framework? The curriculum book is available to, I think, all schools, Mr. Dong. Please and please, you can contact your head of department or your head teacher. They'll be able to give you the curriculum book. If you meant content framework, the content framework is developed by the teacher himself. In the content framework, we have the topic, we have the learning outcomes, which are in the curriculum book already, and then we have the levels of demand, which would be for a learner who is weak and a learner who is, of course, good. Is there anything else that you guys want me to tackle? Richard, is your hand up again?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the nature of the questions, the nature of the items. Okay, questions and items means the same thing. Now, we have in our physics, we have what we call conceptual knowledge. We have what we call conceptual knowledge. In our physics, we have conceptual understanding. We have conceptual understanding. We have what we call application. We have application in a new situation. We also have evaluation, and we have creation.
What?
Evaluation and creation. Should I mention them again? Hello?
Yes, you can.
Again?
You can.
Knowledge, conceptual understanding, application, application in a new situation, evaluation, and creation. Evaluation and creation. Now, this moves us away from the Bloom's taxonomy. Remember, we used to have Bloom's taxonomy back in the what? Back in the day. Now, all the questions we said fall within conceptual knowledge, conceptual understanding. Conceptual knowledge is state, what is, define, those things. What is meant by. Conceptual understanding is when you probably put in calculations, determine the pressure when to do that. Application is state the application of this. Application in a new situation is when, for example, now, I am using a camera such that you are able to see my image. I am using a camera. That is an application of lenses, okay? Then evaluation. Evaluation is when they put a required standard and either you meet it or you don't meet it. Let me give you an example of we tell students to repeat after we have put a measure. If we say you're supposed to attain 60% of the score or of the mark, and then you don't attain 60%, what we do is we say you have failed, okay? That means you have not met the standard. Then creation. To create is to come up with things. For example, you can come up with a setup that can be used to separate small metallic particles, say from small metallic particles from, let's say, from posho, from sugar, okay? That is a creation. In some subjects, like IRE and CRE, kids are told to come up with prayers. In our case, of course, you won't come up with a prayer, but you can create a circuit used for solving a problem. Used for solving a problem. So when we are setting for a learner of senior 4, and let's say senior 3, we set from application going downwards. We set from application going downwards. We set from application going what? Downwards. Whereas when we are setting for a learner of senior 1 and 2, my advice is don't even use scenarios. Senior 1 and 2, these learners have not really studied lots of application. It's probably knowledge. Eh? You will find yourself using a lot of conceptual knowledge, conceptual understanding. Eh? Those what is, define this, define that, okay? You're going to ask them for applications, and then you'll probably include in a short scenario. You see, what happens with these scenarios is they are a cocktail of so many learning outcomes, which you might not have achieved when you are in senior 1. For example, now they have done measurements. They have done measurements. You could set a very short scenario of saying that Muyaka was asked to determine the length of a football pitch. He got his foot ruler and went to measure the length of the pitch. Then you ask questions like, did he use the right tool? Which is the right tool that he should have used? Or what are the disadvantages of using a foot ruler as compared to whatever? Okay, that's a very short scenario. We just kind of introduce them. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you do long scenarios, the next one the learners are going to fail. Remember, these learners have never seen scenario-based assessment. They are just going to hear about it now. Now, because they're just going to hear about it now, it is on us to introduce them little by little, as though we are weaning them off from breastfed milk. So S1 and S2, we are going to do that. Senior 3, 4 will go into real scenarios. Why? Because they have attained enough knowledge, they have enough learning outcomes, and we can bundle up this content. Okay? Like we shall be seeing later in our discussion. Like we shall be seeing later in our discussion. So this brings us to the end of the test what? The test framework. Guys, do we have any questions? Hello?
The thing is smooth so far as I see.
Are you still there? Okay. Okay, I think I have the whiteboard now. Now, in the item specification, we are going to look at the stimulus. We'll look at the stimulus type. How do you raise? Just a moment, just a moment. You see these new technologies. Okay. Okay, so we have these new things are not familiar to my age. Okay. So we have stimulus type. Okay, guys, let me just mention these things because okay, we have the stimulus, then we have the stimulus length. We have the stimulus length. Let's start with the stimulus. For senior 4 and 3, we are required to give them scenarios. So our stimuli will be scenarios. Why do we call them stimuli? Because these are the ones that we give for the learners to give us responses. Okay? These are the ones we give for the learners to give us what? Responses. In the stimuli we can give a graph, we can give a table, it can be a text, it can be a photo, it can be, no, in physics we don't give pie what? In physics we don't give pie charts, okay? But in other subjects you'll find they can even give a pie chart, okay? And it is from this that the learners are going to be able to give us what? Information. Then, stimulus length. The theory paper is 2 hours and 15 minutes. Each learner is expected to do 5 numbers. I'm going to ask you people, how many minutes do you think each number should have? How many numbers do you, sorry, how many minutes do you think each number should take? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes, Mujuni. Mr. Mujuni.
I think we should get the number of questions and divide by the time given.
That is what I'm asking you.
The time given is divided by the number of questions.
The time given is 125, no, is 135 minutes. 135 minutes, okay? There are 5 numbers. When you divide, you get 25. But when you are setting, it's important that at least you give these kids an extra 5 minutes. So each number should ideally take about 20 minutes, such that they have some time to go over their what? Go over their work. Remember, as you're setting for those who are bright and those who are weak. Okay. Then they ask who is expected to score maximum, who is expected to score maximum max. Again, I'll come back to you. Who do you think, when you set a question, who should score maximum max? Is it the low, the medium, or the high? Yes, Mr. Majuni. Or let's get Sadiq. Mr. Sadiq.
I think this should be the high level learner.
The high level learner is the one that we should expect to score the maximum max. Why is that so? Because if the low level learner, if the low level learner is the one that has scored the maximum max, it means we are going to have what? We are going to have issues. Why? Because everyone will eventually score the maximum max. Will eventually score the maximum max. That is why we can we have this up? That is why we insist that the high level learner should be the one to score maximum max. At this point, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions at this point? Yes, Mojuni, please ask. Hello? Hello, yes? Mr. Sadiq, I can also see your hand up. Ibrahim Misimbwa, I can see your hand up. Ibrahim is here. Allow, you allow this one. Yes. Yes, Ibrahim. Yes, Ibrahim, can you please talk? Mr. Ibrahim, can you unmute yourself and talk?
Hello.
Yes, hello.
I have a bit joined late.
Yes.
But I found you talking about the nature of items.
Yes.
And I captured it well.
Is that one for Eden?
The network was disturbing me when we are talking about stimulus and stimulus length. I don't know we are handling which part is that.
Okay, now when we talk about stimulus length,
Yes.
we are talking about the length of the question. Okay? There are 5 questions and we have 135 minutes. How much time do you think we have to allocate each question? Okay? So that is the stimulus length. Okay?
Yes, please.
That is what we meant by stimulus length. That when you're setting a number and there are 5 numbers and you have 2 hours, 15 minutes, you cannot set one number and that one number is going to take 1 hour. It means the learners won't be able to do the other what? Do the other numbers.
Yes.
Okay, let's have Mr. Jamil.
Physics paper.
Let's plug it out. Okay, let's have Mr. Jamil. Oh, Mr. Zaidi, you talk. Mr. Zaidi?
Yes, hello. Yes, please.
Yes, hello. Yes.
For me, my concern was in senior 1. Senior 1 and 2 examination. These ones which require the low level learning for these learners because we have not covered much.
Not
Is
really
it
low level, it is conceptual knowledge and conceptual understanding.
Yes, please. Is it okay if I'm setting maybe and I separate maybe section A to have those short term questions? Then I create section B for the partly scenario.
Yeah, but they should be short scenarios because these learners have not gathered enough information.
Then for section A, I can just put this knowledge questions. What is this? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's have another one. Another one. Yes, Mr. Jamiru, we can hear you.
Okay. I was just inquiring. You had said that that a quick learner can have a maximum score of 20 marks. Is it 20 marks? Yes. What about a small?
I think I didn't say that.
Maybe pardon.
I said that when we are setting, we expect that the maximum marks will be scored by the high level learners.
Yes.
Not by the low level learners. That is what I said.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, do we have any other question before we move on? Maybe you're raising your hand again.
My concern is about the practical paper.
Yes.
You give us the duration of that paper, such that we also.
15 minutes, sir.
The practical will also be for 2 hours.
15 minutes.
So that one question will be answered in 2 hours too.
15 minutes, yes.
Thank
Okay, I think we don't have any other questions. Can we go on?
Hello.
Hello, yes?
For me, my concern is on 2 issues here.
Yes.
The first one is, is it okay if you can specify which topics can go for which section is in these theory papers?
But I think I specified that.
Maybe I a bit joined late for that.
Okay.
Then this other one is when you look at the sample questions we received, the sample papers we received, the stimulus length given is 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Not 2:15?
Yes, it is 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, sorry, maybe that's an oversight. If it is 2:30, then it even makes it better and easier.
Is it the same case for practical?
No, if the practical had 2 hours 15, then it will be 2 hours 15.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay.
But I beg you again highlight on the topics for which section, please.
First of all, did you get those elements of construct? Did you get them?
Not really. I started from, I also joined from nature of items when you're talking about the practical.
Okay. Now, there are 6 elements of construct, which would be the section. Okay. The first one is stars, galaxies, and digital electronics. The second one is light and waves. Light and waves. Third one is atomic and nuclear physics. The third one is atomic and nuclear physics. Third one is atomic and nuclear physics. And those 3 make up section A. Those 3 make up section A. Those 3 make up section A. And there will be one number from each of those sections. The number will be compulsory. Number will be compulsory. Number will be compulsory. Section B. Section B. Section B. Section B has electricity and magnetism. Section B has electricity and magnetism. Just a moment. Can you mute me, please? Mr. Kasonga. I hope you can hear me now. Yes, so I was saying, section B has electricity and magnetism, and mechanics and heat. From section B, 2 questions section will be, 2 questions from each part will be said. Mechanics and heat will have 2 questions. Electricity and magnetism will also have 2 questions. The learners will be expected to do 1. The learners are expected to do 1. The learners will be expected to do 1. The learners will be expected to do 1. Number 6 is scientific investigation, which is the practical. Number 6 is scientific investigation, which is the what? Which is the practical. Do we have any questions? I can see Richard's hand is up, Sadiq's hand is also up. Yes, Richard? Sadiq, whoever is ready.
Sir, I'm ready. Yes, so, sir, I have a question. Hello? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
So my question, I wanted to ask you, said that in section B, that only one question, Alan is supposed to be answering only one question. So my question is, only one question from the whole section or one question from each of these two sections, from each of these two topics, I mean, from each of these
One
two elements?
question from each of the two parts, because you have mechanics, you have mechanics and heat and electricity and magnetism. So they'll
Yes.
answer one.
Yeah.
And instructions are going to be given to them.
Okay. Then another question before I go. Will all the questions from section A up to section B, will they be carrying the equal marks, or section A has the specific marks and section B, each question has got the specific marks?
Now, the questions will be carrying equal scores. Equal scores.
Okay.
The questions will be carrying equal scores apart from stars, galaxies, and digital electronics, because for it does not have calculations. Now, because it doesn't have calculations, for it will have 3 scores, while the other will have 3 for the calculation, 3 for the theory, 3 for the calculation, 3 for the theory. So when you are setting, you need to include, when you're setting, you need to include calculation and theory. Calculation and theory. And also when you're setting now, you've now taken us into the scenario really. When you are setting, you also have to ensure that when you set, you also have to ensure that each question just a moment. Each question should cover each question should cover more than 4 competencies. These things where you set one competence and you go away are not allowed. No. In a theory paper, the question should cover more than 4 competencies. That is why you see those questions that were given to us, the sample questions, they have 4 parts, A, B, C, D. You will even find that it can cover 8 competencies in there, okay? Because when they ask you to describe the operation of a transformer, surely the operation of a transformer will not have only one competence. It will have more than one. Okay, let's have Jamiru.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm just inquiring from section A. Should we assume that every year they will always set those areas, galaxies up to atomic and nuclear, or they will be changing?
Now, Mr. Jamiru.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Mr. Jamiru.
Yes, sir.
When you look at the questions in those sections, when you look at the paper covers the entire syllabus. So every year, the entire syllabus will be set. Remember in the old curriculum, the issue was you'd have 3 questions of mechanics, then have 2 of light, then the other sections are left with 3. That is why your neighbors come out and said, no, we want these learners tested in everything. Actually, the conversation we should be having is that the entire curriculum will be set. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
That's what we should be having.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's have Alan Gavirano since Richard has already spoken and Ibrahim. Yes, Alan?
Hello.
Alan, yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir, so much. My question, I've just joined late and I found you were completing the items to be set. I'm sorry, it might be monotonous, but I wanted you to help me and chap you just review for me what you had just said. Thank you.
Alan, I have spoken for over 1 hour. I believe it would be very unfair on my voice and to
It's
the
okay.
other listeners, because I've so far redone it, I think, twice or thrice.
Okay.
If you are asking a specific part, I am happy to answer. But if you want me to review the whole thing, it is a bit hard. But a specific
okay.
part, okay.
It's okay.
Okay. But you can contact me later and then I'll probably go over it for you.
It's okay. Then what of grading?
The grading is for UNEP. Even right now, in the old curriculum, UNEP will never give grading.
Okay.
UNEP will never give out their what? Will never give out their grading. Because the grading will depend on the marks. You know, some of the marks we give are political. Even you yourself, when you are giving marks, when the marks are very bad, we know you sometimes if the denominator was 80, you reduce the denominator to 70. That is left to the examining body. Many times when you've been the examining body, you have adjusted, haven't you?
Uh-huh.
So can we have another?
Already.
Another person, please.
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello.
Meeting, no. To Simu.
Now, Mr. Camilo, I'm going to mute you.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Zaidi.
Yes, my concern is on section B of these test items.
Is on what?
On these test items of part 1 and part 2 section B. Can we not have a possibility of maybe if we are setting electricity, we have electricity alone and then magnetism also alone? Is it a matter that we should combine the two questions, the two topics, one question?
You have to combine them. And by the way, for electricity and magnetism, it is very simple. Because you already have things that work with both of them. The electromagnets, the loudspeaker, the transformer, all those work with both of them. And then you can set the same question. Just imagine, I can set the same question. It has some bit of transmission of electricity, how it gets into that transformer that will eventually bring to my house, okay?
Yes.
And then from there, I also have, let's say, connection of appliances in a what? In a house. I can have how electricity gets into the transformer, and I can have power rating, how to calculate power, okay? Sorry, Ali, I don't think that will be a very big issue. I know in the start when you're setting these questions, it is really hard, okay? But trust me, we'll go on doing it little by little and we'll learn. I've been at where you are before, and right now I can tell you it is not hard. Okay, it is hard, but it is possible. By the way, no, but that is when we go to the scenarios. We've not yet gone there. Mr. Jamiru, I think you've come back now. Mr. Jamiru, unmute yourself and talk.
Actually, hello.
Yes, hello.
My area of concern is in section A under atomic and nuclear physics.
Yes, sir.
When you look at these senior 4 books, the new curriculum books, there is a topic of digital electronics.
Yes.
Talking of things like logic gates, what. So really, should we assume that topic will be set? And then the other thing is in under galaxies. There is also one calculation in solar system in book 2. So that calculation about the years of the earth, should we assume it will not be set?
No, Mr. Zaidi.
Jamil.
Jamil, sorry, until now there are many Muslims and Eid is soon. So I'm trying for someone to invite me for lunch. Though many of you have not started with that pillar of Islam. Now, not everything we teach is meant to be said. I don't know if you know that. That's not all the things we teach are meant to be what? Said. Some of the things we teach are to help these learners, give them an insight. Are you getting it? I'm sure when you are teaching about, let's say, diffusion, you will talk about the smelly toilets because most of the latrines in school are smelly. Okay?
Yes.
You will even suggest measures that can be taken to reduce the smelling of the latrines. Isn't that so?
Yes, sir.
But will you set it there after?
Not really.
Not really. So one of the things we do is there is a curriculum that is set and there is a curriculum that is taught. They are different. We have to teach. We don't teach these learners to pass exams. We teach them to give them insights on how to improve the quality of life where they stay. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. When you are teaching, let's say you might be teaching a learner and you tell them about cooking mlokoni. I don't know if you guys know what mlokoni is, the hooves of a cow.
Yes.
And you tell them that mlokoni is better cooked in a pressure cooker because then it gets ready and you save fuel. At no point are you going to ever ask about cooking mlokoni. Okay? But this thing is something that is vital for the learners to know. Otherwise, you'll find the boys telling their wives, Amando Galiabuli, when in real sense, the wives don't eat charcoal. The wives are simply cooking. But because you love your molokoni, the person is using close to quarter sack. Okay? So let's have Richard, and then we go on. Richard? Richard, I can, Richard? Richard, please talk. Richard, can you please speak? Your hand is up. Okay. Is there a possibility of giving learners our, okay, that I think we sample questions that will be later. Kindly share about scoring. What is the score of each item? Okay, I've hinted on that, but we'll go on. Let's first go to the scenario, guys. Let's first go back to the scenario. By the way, everyone that has just joined at this point, you don't expect me to go back behind. I've spoken for close to 1.5 hours, which is a bit not good. Take me back. We shall, actually, what we shall do is we are going to send you a video. We are going to send you a video. Now, the last part before we go into another session is what we call the scenarios. Is what we call the scenarios. Now, someone had told me that they wanted some sample questions. So I'm sending them to our IT guy here. But I'll not share the entire paper. Kindly speak out. Just speak out 4 numbers. Eh? No, not now. Not now. So I have some sample numbers, but I am not going to show you the whole paper because the paper is for a client. Eh? Yeah, so it's very bad. So scenarios. Now, we say that our assessment will be in form of scenarios. Each paper should have a stimulus, which includes a scenario, graph, or whatever. You can pick one. Okay, let's share one number such that I can talk while you people see. Just give us a minute. So every scenario should have what we call a text, a graph with a text or what, and then should have a clear task. Like you people are going to do what? Like you people are going to see. Okay? It is very important for us to be able to put tasks that are clear. Now, scenarios have rules that govern them. Number one, your scenario should be short and precise. They say that for a miniskirt to be a miniskirt, it should be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to create now the word there has gone, but to create attention. Okay, so that is what our scenario should look like. Just pick out, go down, pick out this, pick that number 2. Number 2, then go down. Just a moment, we are selecting which questions. Pick number 2. Yes. And then go down. Go. Go. Give them this number. Then go down. I think I'll just stop it here. So in case you can okay, I think the scenarios should be short and precise. There is a guy playing music in the background. It happens to be giving us very bad feedback on the call. I'm sorry we were looking at the questions and selecting what I should give you. Number 2 should be in acceptable English or language. The scenarios should be in acceptable language. You are not allowed to use English that only you or a few people might understand. Like when you hear our students speak, sometimes our students use a language you might not understand. Okay, is this being shown now? Okay, just a moment before we share. Okay. So it should be an acceptable language. You are not allowed to use local names of people and places. Local names of people and what? And places. The other one is avoid coining words. Avoid coining words. The only word I think that is acceptable to be coined is kwashako, and you will not use it in physics. Kwashako is not an English word, we were told. Okay, so avoid coining words. Things like witchcraft and sorcery should not be spoken about. Why? Because we don't teach them. Number 6, keep it within the confines. Keep it within the confines of the curriculum. If it does not appear in the curriculum book of the subject you're examining, thou should not set it. Some of you have a habit of saying, no, they taught it in geography. When the kid is sitting for a paper of physics, it is a paper of physics, it's not a paper of geography. So we are not allowed to we are not allowed to give. Not allowed to give what? We are not allowed to set from geography. Okay. I think these are all the rules. The rest we shall be seeing. You should also be gender sensitive when you're setting your paper, though that will be very hard to achieve as you go on later. So Taban, let's share this and then we can run it the other side. So, someone asked for sample items. Can you see? Gentlemen, there is a guy playing music in the background. How I wish you knew how much I don't like noise. Let me see exactly it is, such that we just mute them. It's not showing. Okay. Okay, so we have a sample question here. I don't know if you guys are able to see. Hello.
Yes, please.
We can see, Papa.
Can see, please.
So we have a question here. Two people, sorry, seated at the back of the hall, whose walls are painted black with white lights and green lights that were used interchangeably. The hall also has a speaker at the back that produces sound. The two people hear the first sound when it is produced and a second sound 2 seconds later. They are confused by the two sounds they hear. When the white set of lights is switched on, their clothes appear blue and green. However, when the clothes change color, the clothes change color when the green lights are switched on, surprising the people in the room. The people also complain of the light levels in the room being low and have been asked or tasked to determine the length of the room, but have no clue on how to do so. Use your knowledge of physics to explain to the people, A, why the hall appears dark even when the lights are switched on. B, why the clothes change color when the white lights are switched on and the yellow ones are switched on. C, the length of the room. D, what leads to the two sounds being produced and how it can be avoided. How it can be avoided. There is some bit of editing that has to be done here. They explain to the people has to come down because this is where we have to determine the length of the room. Now, if we are all at that point, one of the things you notice is that the length of the room is going to require them to determine, okay? Because we said apart from stars, galaxies, and what, we should have a calculation, okay? So, to start with, gentlemen, we can all see part A. Part A is about reflection of light, and it's about that the black color absorbs the light, so there is no reflection. So the room appears like it is not well lit, okay? You can even ask how that effect can be reduced, and they'll tell you now paint with white or cream. B, why the clothes change color when white lights are switched on and the yellow ones are then switched on. Why do the clothes change color? Here we are looking at colors that when it is white light, the clothes are going to absorb all the colors but reflect only the colors of their what? Of their clothes, okay? However, when you switch on the yellow, the clothes have to change color. Why? Because of how the different colors behave in yellow, okay? Then the length of the room, they're just going to calculate using what? Using echoes. Then what leads to the two sounds being produced? There they're going to tell you the two sounds are produced because of reflection of light and how it can be avoided. There we are looking at how to reduce reverberation, and we are going to come up with points like putting softboards, I think. Is there anything else? So how do we score? Now, we have a part of calculation which is handled independently from the part of the theory, okay? Let's start with the calculation. The calculation, of course, will state a formula. S is equal to 2D over T. Of course, we should have given them the speed of sound, but I was rushing. So they will tell us D is S by T over 2, which would be 330 by the time it is 2. So you'll find that the whole is 330 what? Meters. Okay? Now, when you look at this, you're going to find that it has 3 or 4 marks. Let's say it has 3 marks. Now, calculations are given a 3 to 1. Calculations are given a 3 to 1, though this now would be above your level. For you, just supposed to know. Okay, let's not go into the 3 to 1. Let's not go into the 3 to 1 because that is now beyond your level. That goes to your neighbor. Then we look at the theory. We look at the what? The theory. Why the whole appears dark? They're going to say that the black absorbs the color. The black absorbs the color, hence no reflection, reducing the amount of light in the room. So black absorbing the color, hence no reflection. Clothes changing color. The kid telling you that in white, they'll absorb all colors, but reflect. You're going to see there are 2 there. Then the yellow also, what the yellow does, you're also going to notice that they are what? They are 2. Then, guys, I have an important call coming in. Let me first pick this up. A minute. Yes. Hello. So what the yellow, I'm sorry, I had to pick that call. It was family. So what the yellow, we have two marks there. Then what leads to the 2 sounds being produced? The learner telling you that it is reflection of sound. Reflection of sound is 1, okay? So what you hear is an echo. The second sound you hear is an echo. That's 2. How it can be avoided is using softboards. Using softboards, since they absorb the sound, meaning that no sound will be reflected. Now, when you look at the calculation we had 3 ticks. But when you look at this theory, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the theory we have 10. What we propose that they should do is we handle the calculation independent from the theory. Why? Because in physics, we assume that these learners are supposed to know. These learners are supposed to know both calculation and what? And theory. Yes. So how we are going to handle the theory is we are going to subject it to a 3, 2, 1, 0. What do we mean by that? We say, what is 2/3 of 10? What is 1/3 of 10? Now, 2/3 of 10 would be about 6 point something. So we say 6 to 10, those will get 3. 1/3 of 10 is 3 to now 5, we'll get 2. 1 to 2, we'll get 1. Those, of course, below 1 is 0. They get 0. For the calculation, of course, 2/3 of 3 is 2. So those who have 2 to 3, or those who have 3 can have 3. Those who have 2 can have 2. Those who have 1 can have 1, because it's a simple calculation. That is why actually some of these calculations, we find ourselves using evaluation. I have another question that would have that, but I will not share it but it was about still there was reflection of sound, and it was still in the cinema hall. This guy wanted to repaint the cinema hall. So the builder was telling him this thing is 400 meters, and calculating, he noticed the thing was about 300. So in that question, instead of the learners being asked for the length, of the hall, they were being asked if the builder made a correct estimate. The builder made a correct estimate. Okay. This is mechanics. This is mechanics. A certain pump in a school is used to fill a tank of diameter that. However, it is currently utilized for a limited time to regulate the amount of electricity owed, and they aren't sure how much time it will take to fill the tank. They are worried about the noise produced as the water pours into the tank and how to keep the water in the tank at the same temperature without it warming up. Given that the pump has a power rating of that and has to pump water to the height of that, use your knowledge of physics to determine if 1 hour would be enough, why the water makes noise, and to suggest ways in which to keep the water in the tank at the same temperature. Okay? Now you notice that this question, you have a part of mechanics, which would ideally be measurements, but don't give this question to learners of senior 1. Of course, they don't know this power rating thing. Even the ones of senior 2 would not really pass it. Those who will pass it will pass it. Those who won't. But senior 4 have developed enough brain to be able to pass that. Then we have another question here. A group of learners from a certain school visited a residence and were requested by a neighbor to press a switch by the door side. On pressing it, they heard the loud bell sound, and the door was opened shortly afterwards. The learners were even more surprised when they were told it is an electric bell. The other information the owner provided showed that its user manual had 240 volts. No, sorry, 200 volts, 40 watts, but couldn't explain how the bell works. What would happen if the bell was used in a house with a main supply of 100 volts, and how the sound of the bell can be increased. Use your knowledge of physics too. 1, explain how the electric bell works. In this way, we are going to expect these learners to draw the electric bell. After drawing the electric bell, they tell you the operation of the electric bell. Then what would happen if the electric bell would move to a house of voltage 120 watts? I think here I should have edited. One of them was supposed to be 120, and the other was supposed to be, the other was also supposed to be 120. I'm very sorry. Then explain how the sound of the bell can be increased. You notice that we have both calculation and theory. And the reason I didn't put a lot more here is because this thing is bulky. The learner drawing the electric bell and then describing its process, then coming up, okay, thinking about what would exactly happen if the electric bell was moved to this, that there more current is going to flow through, the less current will flow through the bell, so the sound would be less. It has a calculation and a theory, and I really felt if you added the 4th part, it was going to be what? It was going to be very, very what? Very, very bulky. No, this is very okay. So we still do the same handling like we did for the other first question. Like we did for the first what? Question. So kindly share about scoring. I hope I've answered everything here. Okay. So, gentlemen and ladies, I am moving on. Do we have any questions? Okay, in case you have a question now, or you develop a question later, you can put it in the Q&A, though I'd be very interested in hearing any feedback so far. Guys, are we okay? Hello?
Yes,
Are we okay?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
We are okay, but you promised
Are we
us,
okay?
of course, your questions, and you have given us 3.
I promised you what?
You're going to give us 4 scenarios, but you have only projected 3.
Hello.
Sorry. You wanted 4 scenarios?
Hello.
Hello, I didn't get the first question.
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Yes, we can hear you.
I have a concern with the issue of scoring here. When you check this one which we have just scored, the theory part, the theory part is carrying the 10 marks, then the calculation is 3 marks. So if it carries those total of 13, does it mean that all other questions will now carry the 13?
No, sir. Those marks, the scores will be maximum 3 and maximum 3. You convert the marks into scores.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
So every question
Hello?
can... Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hello? You said I convert these marks back to scores.
They are converted into scores.
On every part, like part A, I convert back to 3, part C back to 3, part back to 3.
We get the theory part. Okay. Zaidi is
Yes,
we get
please.
the calculation. Okay. We look at our marking guide and see how many marks are for the calculation. Let's say there are 6 marks. Okay. If there are 6,
yes,
we have to change these 6 marks to scores.
Yeah.
Are you getting it?
Yes, I'm getting.
Then we look at the theory. We get the total of the theory. So let's say there are 2. We also convert it to a score of 3. That is why I say that this is now way beyond your what? This is way beyond your level because it will be done by UNEB.
But I also thought that we may need the terminology to award our learners at schools.
Yes. You will have so many issues with teachers over it. The moment UNEB has not done something, teachers normally do what? Teachers normally oppose it. Eventually, when you use the system we've been using, you'll get right about the same thing. So it is okay. The only thing you have to know is that the learners have to score marks in the calculation and also score marks in the theory. Next year, it is going to be very easy for us when you are selecting learners to give physics. We'll look at your past slip. We see mechanics, calculation 0, theory 3. We look at
practical
electricity and magnetism, calculation 0, theory 3. We notice that this student will not be able to handle physics because their calculations are what? Their calculations are bad. Whereas here we've been taking Jumla. As long as they have a 4, this time we are going to look at your quality, the quality of your 4 or 5. Richard has a hand up. Yes, Ricky? Yes, Richard. Richard, we can hear you.
They said that the learner is not supposed to fail.
He's not supposed to do what?
They say the learner is not supposed to fail. Now I'm asking you now. If a student fails part A, part B, part C, and has totally presented nothing, what do you give that person?
Richard, who told you learner is not supposed to fail?
It's what they told us when we were in those seminars, the workshop.
Richard, in which world do you live where you cannot fail?
Okay. I've got the point.
when you have scored 0, you have scored 0. Richard, I've told you, go to the box and get your money. You moved out of the gate. Do you get money?
No, no.
It's that simple.
I've got the point, yeah.
Okay. Next.
Hello.
Yes, hello. This should be Zaidi speaking.
Yes, please. Then if we remain with our issue of marks like 13, then I should sum up my 5 numbers back to total of 80.
Now, that is, you see, UNEB told you, there is what UNEB does. Okay?
Yes.
If they tell you that the total score is 3, it is 3. Okay?
Yes.
Why they are using scores is because different scenarios warrant different marks. But the scenarios should warrant the same score. Why are they doing this? Such that you learner who passes mechanics, who knows mechanics a lot, should not score more marks because you know mechanics a lot. That is why everything is having the same number of scores.
Okay, please.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions? Guys, any more questions? Any more questions? Hello? Okay, let's, yes, Sadiq.
I was trying to say that so far I'm good at that. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Now I want to move to the practical. I want to move to the practical. I am going to give a very simple. Okay. I wish we could share just the Word document. It's instead of sharing handwritten. Can't we just share something with typed? Just Control New and no. Like we can scrap this off and just put a different thing. So what I said, you can. Okay. So, gentlemen, I want to move to the practical, but in moving to the practical, I am going to use a language which is very simple to understand. So you might think some of the things I've left out, but I want to make it very user-friendly such that we don't leave out anything. Is that okay?
It's okay.
Hello? Is that okay?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we give our learners a scenario and an illustration, what do we expect from them? The first thing we expect from them is the aim of the experiment or the title of the experiment. Sometimes you'll find that the aims will be 2. Sometimes the aim will be 1, like it has been in the old curriculum. Okay? We expect our learners to be able to write both of them because they'll be in the task. Please tell your learners the aim will be in the what? Okay? The second thing we'll expect them to give us is the procedure. And in the procedure, what do we test? In the procedure, we test the steps. I didn't want to call them procedures because we had already mentioned procedure. And we test the coherence of the procedure. We test the coherence of the procedure. When you are doing a practical, it is not like eating food and taking juice, that if I eat food and take the juice, I'm like the one who has taken juice and eaten the food, or who has taken the juice while I'm eating the food. No. If the steps are not coherent, you will not get the what? the results. Okay? Then, number 3, we will want the learner to give us the variables. The variables, the controlled, the independent, and the dependent. Okay? The independent and the dependent. Number 4, we'll have sources of errors. Minimum, they should give us 2, and precautions taken. These ones, they are also 2. Now, I am going to use the language that you've not been seeing on social media, because someone came to me and told me, but Grandma, when you give us these things, the way you give them, the things seem like we have never done them. Number 6 should be a table. And I'm going to explain whatever we need in the what? In the table. Where you had the recording of data and what? Now it is a table. Okay? Of course, we expect a columnar table. Okay? In the table, of course, we expect you to write, to record the quantities well in their acceptable form. If it is mass, capital M, in kilograms, you write the capital M, then you put the kilograms in what? In brackets. Okay? You put the kilograms in brackets. Then, if you are doing a practical of Hooke's law, you want to determine the force constant. If it is P1 in centimeters, you give us P1, but in what? Centimeters. Then you give us the extension still in what? In centimeters. Okay? Of course, the M will have a specific number of that one is the one that we use to get the other values. But when we are reading from a meter rule, of course, whatever we read is to 1 decimal place. So you're going to find they'll probably give you 10.1, they'll give you 11.3, they'll give you 13.2, they'll give you like that. Okay? And then you'll get your values of extension still. Because you're subtracting, you have to do that. Now, the data should be recorded in an acceptable manner. What do I mean? If we are put in columns, it's good Mr. Taban has put it there on the top. Now, we also look at what we mark here is we mark data manipulation. The old system, nothing changes. Data manipulation, the old system, nothing does what? Nothing changes. Okay? We look at, is the data within range? Is the data within range? Then we look at, have you recorded to the right number of decimal places? Has the data been recorded to the right number? No, to the accuracy of the instrument. This will of the instrument. Guys, on the table, do we have any question? On the table, do we have any question? Yes, Simba Ibrahim.
Yes, please. In the old curriculum,
Try to be a bit louder.
I'm saying in the old curriculum, we used to have other values in the table. We used to have the given value, the measured value, and then the calculated value. So in this one, is the student going to develop the calculated value, or they should have the given value which they're going to provide, and then the measured values? The table of results.
Ibrahim.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
The learner comes up with their procedure.
Yes, please.
If their procedure, okay, now like this practical says, that first establish the length of the spring P naught. Eh? That P naught, of course, is going to be out of the table. Isn't that so?
Yes, please.
Isn't that so?
Yes, please.
So they'll indicate it above the what? They'll indicate it above the table. Why the learner has to come up with their procedure is you can't force things on what? You can't force things on them.
Yes.
Richard, you also had the hand up.
Like I'm asking, are the rules of multiplication, division, subtraction, what is still constant like in the old curriculum?
That is why I say the data manipulation is the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then in this first column, the learner again is down to give him or herself the given values, the values to use.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Ibrahim, is your hand still up?
Yes, please.
Yes, Mr. Thomas Cassidy. Ibrahim, let me have Thomas first, then you come. Yes, Thomas. Mr. Cassidy. Oh. Okay, Thomas. Mr. Cassidy, please unmute yourself and speak. Mr. Cassidy, please speak. Unmute yourself and speak. Mr. Cassidy, unmute yourself and speak. Mr. Cassidy, okay, let's have Ibrahim first. Yes, Ibrahim.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Hello, I can hear you. Hello? Hello, Mr. Cassidy, I can hear you.
Yes, my concern. Hello?
Yes, I can hear
My
you.
concern is about recording procedures as it has been in the old curriculum. Is it necessary for this learner to accompany the measured values, or is the values that is measuring with the procedures?
What do you exactly mean?
Sorry?
What do you exactly mean?
Like if it's recording the initial length of the string, instead maybe it is procedure B, so it says B, length L, puts the value of the length.
Yeah, I think it is prudent that he does that because he's going to use it when finding the extension. I think
okay, thank you.
Yes. Ibrahim?
Okay.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Mine, there are two. Number one, the first component tends to be used in the procedure.
Just a moment, just a moment. Hello, I can hear you now. I'm sorry, I had to pick that up. Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
I said the first concern is I wanted
Ibrahim,
to know
your voice is so down. Can you increase the volume? Yes.
Hello, I'm saying
the
the first thing is that tends to be used in the procedures. Then the second one is how many values should we emphasize that the learner should be the number of times the learner should be repeating the experiment to get other values in the table of results.
Okay. Now, I'm going to answer your question. The first part of the question is the tense that should be used when generating the procedure. This is something we don't discuss. I think we'll discuss it when we go in May. However, when it comes to the number of values, UNEB emphasizes 3. However, it is very risky to use 3. Can we tell our learners to use 6? Let's tell our learners to use 6. Because when we say we should use 3, man, just imagine the 3 are out of range. How is learner going to come up with a line of best what? Line of best fit. So to reduce the margin of error, let's tell our learners 6, and you don't tell them UNEB says 3. No, we just tell them there should be 6. You know, we are dictators sometimes. Next question. The ladies, I don't hear you asking. Rebecca. Rebecca, say something. Jamiru, do you still have a question?
I'm following sir slightly. I'm following. I have nothing much to say.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Jamiru, do you have anything to say? Mr. Jamiru, please unmute yourself and go on.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So far, I've heard that you are encouraging us to use 6 values. Of those 6 values, should we include in the initial value? That is one. The other thing is it's like we are going to be using present simple tense in stating our procedures. Meaning that in the table of values, we should also have our values corresponding to the instrument we are using. Meaning that there is no more conversions in this work. So I just want you to confirm. Thank you.
Mr. Jamiru,
yes,
these
sir.
learners are coming up with their own procedures. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
If they are coming up with their own procedures, and let's say the learner has to record in centimeters, okay?
Yes.
Recording in centimeters for him to because remember there is the next part we are moving to is the graph, okay? Yes. And if he didn't want to include a conversion after the graph to meters, then it implies that he's going to change the extension to meters right away, okay? However, yes, if the learner wants not to change in the table, then he'll do it after the what? The graph. That is why you see most of the formulas we are using would have a 10 somewhere, would have a 100 somewhere. Okay? That means that you didn't have to convert it. So the learner is supposed to be cognizant of this fact that if I leave it in centimeters, when I go the other side, I'm supposed to change it to meters. To meters.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, allow me to kindly repeat the tense of the procedures. I said we have not yet discussed the tense of the what? Procedures. That should be a question that will come up this holiday. And when it does, we'll be able to probably come out and inform you. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Now, from the table, by now the things I'm saying here have not changed in any way. From the table, we have the graph. From the table, we have the graph. Of course, the graph is supposed to have a title That's fine. The graph is supposed to have a title. The graph should have labeled axes. The graph should have labeled axes. Then there are space behind. Then, of course, we have to plot. Okay, all those things are the same. The plotting. However, one thing we discussed was, you remember I used to say that when you're coming up with a scale, it should either be 1, 2, or 5 boxes. We noticed that there is no physics in that statement. That statement was only to encourage convenience for the people that were marking. When you are teaching, please teach 1, 2, or 5, because it becomes simpler for you to mark. However, when your neighbor will be marking, they will not consider that. Why? Because there is no physics in it. It was only convenient for whoever was doing what? For whoever was going to mark. Okay. From there is a slope. From there is a slope or the treatment of the graph, because sometimes you find yourself that you don't necessarily use the slope. Sometimes you use the intercept. Okay. Now, in other cases, some of these practicals, the learner might even not use a graph and they just include a column where they do the treatment, then they find the average. That is also allowed in some practicals. However, it doesn't work for all. So please don't tell your learners it is possible, because when you do, you'll be gone. Okay? Then what is left there is how we use the slope, using the slope, using the slope or the intercept, where we had the formula. Okay? Then from there, we have the hypothesis. The hypothesis should be that it can come first, it can come last in physics. This is a borrowed thing from chemistry and from biology. Then from the hypothesis, we have the conclusion. We have the conclusion of the practical, and then we have a device given. We have a device given. We have a device given. The device given was also borrowed because the first practical we worked with was the practical of biology, and it required you to give a device. Okay? And that is why we have it, that at any point where we shall require a device to be given, it should be there. What we are dealing with is a UNEB format. It is not a physics format. Please understand that this practical report is what UNEB expects. In some practicals, whatever you're asking won't, let's say the controlled might not be required. Because the controlled, when you really go down to practicals, it is basically used in chemistry and used in biology. Why is it used? Because sometimes they have their practicals under controlled conditions of temperature, which you might not achieve in physics. Okay? Yes, Zaidi. Yes, Mr. Zaidi. Yes, Zaidi. I don't think he's muted. Zaidi, please talk.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you getting?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
My point was on the confidential that to be delivered. For example, if we are to give our learners like masses, 6 of them, will that confidence also will it look like the one of all the curriculum where it gives apparatus that may not be used in the experiment?
The old curriculum, it will include things you will need and things you won't need.
Okay.
Okay. I think, are we done there, guys? Hello? Hello? Yes, Mr. Cassidy.
Yes, sir.
Yep, I can hear you loud
Yeah,
and clear.
my concern is
sir.
about the statement of the instruments used. As in, when I look at the report you've given us, I'm not seeing that part where we have statement of instruments. This learner is going to list. Is it not necessary?
Now, when the learner is given a setup, okay, the learner can
Yes, sir, I'm
choose
getting you.
to draw their own setup, which is alternative. Okay? Okay? The learner can choose to draw their own setup, which is alternative, as long as it is acceptable and it works. They'll be allowed. That is where we had that part of statement of the apparatus. That is where we had it, but you know how risky it is. Tell your learners it is okay for you to do what? To leave the setup that has been given to you, can draw yours. Only those who are very brilliant will be able. But they can include it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Did not say the thing today. Mr. Tim? Mr. Tim, unmute and say something. Okay. Yes, Sir Tim?
Yes, please.
Yes, is there any concern?
At the moment, there is no concern yet. I'm still following. Everything is moving on well.
Okay. Madam Ahumuza Annabella, is there anything?
I'm also following very well. No question.
No question. Okay, Mr. Jamiru has a question. Jamiru, yes?
Thank you, sir. I'm inquiring, at what stage should we state the sources of errors?
Now, you see, if it was a real practical report, I think it has a specific part, but here someone will just look for it. Have you mentioned the errors in mark? So you might not have it there.
Okay.
So what you are marking, is it there?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, is there anything else? God.
Hello.
God, I can see your hand was up. Yes, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
My issue is on the issues of procedures.
Yes.
For example, if a learner is setting down procedures, should he go ahead and number them or can write them in form of experimental procedures like theory?
I think experimental procedures should be written by like experimental procedures. Because remember, at one point it's going to say repeat procedures this to this. Okay?
Yes, please.
Now, I don't know who was speaking at that point.
There's eight.
Zaidi was speaking. Okay, Jamiru, you'll have to wait for Nalugoda. Misa. Yes, Mr. Nalugoda. Mrs.
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Yes.
According to what you have given us at last here, are you trying to say that depending on the nature of the scenario that can be set, we may ignore that part of advice because it is bold, or if the scenario really requires an advice to be given, we can encourage learners to go ahead and give the advice?
what I said was depending on the nature. The first practical that we used to come up with this format of the report was a scenario of biology where they had vegetables that they wanted to preserve, and they had two kinds of water, one that was very salty and one that was not salty. In that case, you were required, to give a device. But not all practicals are going to have a device that you have to give. That is why I said if it is needed, we left it there. If it is not needed, it's not needed. Let's have Ibrahim. Guys, we are about to finish. Those who have to go and party.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
More clarity on hypothesis for the practical.
The what?
The hypothesis. I need more hypothesis.
You need
more clarity, clarify on the hypothesis.
Okay. What we decided to use as a hypothesis was something very simple. That when you look at, let's say, when you look at the sample paper, one of the questions that was given that had the question had the mass of the bottle. The mass bottle was 15 grams that the trader was trading in. We decided our learners will be able to draw the hypothesis from there and tell us that whether it is or it is not. Whether it is or it is not. But it is also something that was borrowed. It's something that was borrowed. So yeah. Then Mr. Fred Diaz was asking, if your neighbor accepts 3 values and we advise learners to give 6, won't your neighbor request to apparatus that learners will be required to use 3 trial values? No. What you neighbor accepts is if the learner has 3 or more. If the learner has 3 or more values, that is acceptable, and they'll get a score of 3. If they have 2, they'll get 1. If they have 1, they'll be given a score of 1. Why we are telling you to use 3 values is because when you're plotting, when we are telling you to use 6 is when you're plotting. If you plotted 3 values and 2 of them are wrong, how are you going to come up in the line of best fit? So it is something to just help our learners reduce on the margin of failure. Now go on. Anyone else?
I have a concern.
Yes.
The group I attended after releasing of those sample papers, and one of the co-hosts said that according to the practical sample paper that they released, it has only mechanics and light. Is that a message to say that UNEB will only set mechanics and light this year? Then, according to your you said that the examiner will be at liberty to leave one section that particular year, or is it leaving that section in that particular year, or it will be leaving that section in that particular paper, assuming it is paper 2, the section that will be paper can equally come.
Just a moment. First of all, the use of the sample papers was to give the teachers and students a feel of what the UNEP paper will look like. Are you getting it? It was to give the students and teachers a feel of what the UNEP paper.
Wow.
Hello.
No.
Is there something which has gone wrong?
No.
This some technical problem or my network is poor.
No, it seems it is a general concern. It is a general problem. Because actually I'm also not getting them properly. Guys, are we going for break?
Not yet. We are still there.
I'm not getting anything.
No, I think it is their machines, but I think they are putting them right.
Okay.
Hello.